Hi students, today we're going to learn something new in our financial literacy unit. We're going to learn about sales and income tax. So you hear about tax a lot already, I'm sure, in history classes when you're learning about the history of our country. Tax is something that not all countries do, but we do obviously. And so we're going to talk about how we calculate different types of taxes and what these taxes are used for. So let's first look at our definitions. So first we have that sales tax is a percentage of the cost of a good or service. So when you go to the grocery store and you buy that box of pancake mix, that's considered a good, and people are going to tax you on that. When you go to the car wash and they provide a service and they clean your car for you, you're going to have to pay a tax for that. So that's called sales tax. In order to calculate how much sales tax you're going to have to pay, you have to express the sales tax rate as a decimal first, and then multiply that decimal with the amount of the purchase. So maybe the headphones that you want are $19.99. So what the store, the computer is going to do is it's going to take that $19.99, it's going to take the sales tax rate, maybe like 8%, it's going to change that percentage to a decimal first, and then multiply with the amount of the purchase. So in other words, it's our decimal method that we learned earlier this year when we were doing our percents. Okay, that's pretty much all we're using in taxes is our percent knowledge. Now, we mentioned other things that we have to learn about taxes, and something that goes along with dealing with taxes and paying to the government is income. Okay, in order to be able to pay for things, you have to have an income. So that's how we make money, essentially. Our money that we make at our jobs and all of those things that we do as adults are called our income. Okay, wages are payments for labor or services. So our employers, the people who pay us, they give us our wages, our income, in other words, kind of like another word. There are some differences there, but you'll learn about more differences between income and wages as you get older. Okay, now the other one besides sales tax, the other one we were going to talk about is income tax. Okay, so income tax is a tax on the net income of an individual or business. So this is what you hear your parents talking about, and you hear on the news that it's tax time, and you see those people twirling the signs to get your parents to go get their taxes done at that place. This is what we're talking about. We have to pay income tax off of the money that we make. So me as a teacher, last year, let's say I made $60,000 from January to December of 2016. The government's going to want some of that money to help pay for things that I benefit from by living in the United States, like our military, our roads that we drive on, all kinds of things they use our money to pay for. And so they're going to go ahead and calculate an amount of money that we need to give them, and we give it to them each paycheck, and hopefully we give them enough so that at that special time of year that you hear everybody talking about, we don't owe them money. Instead, maybe we paid them too much and we get money back. So that's when we do our taxes. So to calculate how much money you would owe on income tax, it's kind of like using the decimal method. You take the tax rate and you change it to a decimal, and then you just multiply that by your amount of wages. And we'll see some examples here in a minute. So when we do federal withholding tax, that's pretty much what we call the income tax. This federal withholding tax is a part of our income tax, and that's the money that goes to pay for the military. Everything that's listed under federal withholding tax. Those things pay for our military, for the roads, just programs and things that we have in place in the United States that everybody kind of benefits from. Okay, Social Security tax is another type of income tax. So when they take out and they write on my pay stub that they took out this certain amount for Social Security tax, yes, it's also another form of income tax, but this part of that income tax actually goes so that when I'm older and I can't physically work anymore, I can still get a paycheck in a way. The government will send me a check and say, here, we know you can't work anymore, here's some money. And so the only way to get Social Security when you're old is to pay into it as you're working. So they take this out of your paycheck so that you can have some money. It's kind of like a savings account for you later, but the government holds on to it. Okay, Medicare tax is also another kind of income tax. Now, that money goes to having health insurance when you're older. So most people have health insurance because of the jobs that they work for. Now, if you're old and you can't work anymore, then how are you going to get insurance? Well, that's why the government says, "Hey, we know you don't have a job anymore necessarily, so we know you might not have insurance. We'll help you out and we'll give you Medicare, which is the insurance that the government provides." Okay, so now let's go ahead and do some calculation. Let's see what all of this really looks like. So on example 1 here, it says we want to figure out the sales tax and the total cost on a purchase that has 6.25% sales tax, and we're trying to buy a $1,799.85 wedding ring. So to just get the amount of the sales tax, we're going to take that percentage, 6.25%, and we're going to change it to a decimal. So that means we chop this off, and a decimal means we need to go 2 to the left. Now, if the decimal's already there, we need to start right here. So we go 1, 2 to the left, and so that's really 0.0625. And we want to take that number and we want to multiply it with the purchase amount, the amount of the ring. So we're going to take that 0.0625, and I'm okay with you using a calculator, and we're going to multiply that with $1,799.85. And when we go ahead and multiply them, this is what we get on the calculator. We get $112.49, and then it continues. Remember, we're talking about money though, so money cuts off at the hundredths place. So we would just go ahead and say that's $112.49. So that's how much the person's going to pay in tax on that ring. So now we want to know if the ring costs $1,799.85 and the taxes are $112.49, what's the total cost of the ring? Well, that means I need to take the ring's amount and the taxes and add them together. So we're going to go ahead and take that 1799.85 plus our 112.49, and that gives us $1,912.34. Total cost. Now, when you're answering total cost, it should always be greater than the price of the items, since obviously it needs to be more. This is kind of like, again, when you go and you pick out those headphones and it says $19.99 on the price tag, but when you go to pay, they tell you to give them $21.64 maybe. That's because what they did is they added in that tax amount. Okay, so let's look at somebody's paycheck now. Well, this is an example of how we do our sales tax. How would we figure out the amount of taxes we're paying to the government from our money that we're earning, from our income or wages? So here we're looking at Faith Stickler's pay stub. We have some information. So she worked enough hours at whatever job she has to where she should be making $2,267.27 this paycheck. But again, the government's going to say, let's save some of that money for you so that you have some for health insurance when you're older. You can kind of get a paycheck when you're older. And then this is just so we can keep up with the country and keep everything good and happy the way it is. Okay, so they already figured out our Medicare amount for us. That means $32.88 is going to be paid to Medicare. Now, I said paid, so we need to remember that's something we're going to subtract. We don't get to keep that money. That's going to leave our paycheck. So let's now figure out the amount that we're going to take away for Social Security. So since Social Security is 6.2%, we're going to go ahead and first change that 6.2% to a decimal. Move that decimal 2 times to the left. We get 0.062. And that's what we want to go ahead and multiply with the wages amount. So you always go back to the original amount that they earned in their wages. So I'm going to do that 0.062 times my 2,267 and 27 cents. So let's do that on the calculator here. 0.062 times 2,267.27. Okay, and when I multiply those together, we get $140 0.57. There's some more at the end there, but when we're looking at rounding, there's nothing after that 7 to make it go up, so we're going to keep it the same. So that means I'm going to pay, or Faith is going to pay, $140.57 into the Social Security account. Now we need to see how much she's going to pay into that kind of general account that goes to pay for the military, your roads, all the different construction that we do, and all of that. So our federal withholding tax is what we're going to do now, and that's that 23%. So we need to change 23%, chop off our percent sign. Now this one doesn't have a decimal yet, so we start in the back and we move 2 to the left. So 23% is the same as 0.23. Now, we again want to figure out 23% of the original amount of the paycheck. So we're going to do that 0.23 times the 2,267.27. So let's go ahead and multiply those. And when we multiply them, let's show you here, I got $521.47 with 2 on the end there. That 2 is going to make the 7 stay the same. So that's going to be $521.47. Now I know that's a lot, and to be honest, it is a lot. That's typically the biggest amount of your paycheck that's going to leave your account is going to be the federal withholding tax. It's the highest percentage, if you notice there. So $521.47. And again, that's going to be taken away. So now the very last thing is here on our handout, it says calculate Faith's net pay. So net means after all these deductions are gone. Okay, what are we going to do in order to figure that out? Well, okay, sorry guys, I actually got stopped, so don't know what I was saying, but the point is, once you know what you originally made based on how many hours you worked, and you know how much they're going to take away for Medicare, you know how much they're going to take away for Social Security, and you know how much they're going to take away for federal withholding, what we literally do is just subtract all of that, and that is our net pay. Net means after everything's kind of taken out, you can kind of think of like a fishing net. All those taxes fall right through. Think about the strainer for the noodles in your spaghetti. All of the things that need to go away fall right through the holes, and then what's left in the net is your money. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take that $2,267.27. We're going to subtract the $32.88 going to Medicare. We're going to subtract the $140.57 going to Social Security. Oops, except I did that wrong, so sorry. Let's start again. Type these in real quick. 2267. It's very important when you're using a calculator that your fingers don't cause you issues like mine just did. Okay, subtract the 3288, subtract the 140.57, and then finally we're going to subtract our $521.47. And when I subtract all of those deductions, she is going to have a net pay. What's going to be left is $1,572.35. Okay. That would be what actually goes into her bank account. So her paycheck's going to say, hey, this is how much you earned based on how many hours you worked, whatever type of job you do. But then at the end, after all these deductions, this is the amount that's actually going to be paid to her on the paycheck or in her bank account. Okay, so it's important to realize that there's a lot of other things that go into it, not just how many hours you work. There's some things that need to be taken away. But that's all done automatically. You don't typically have to calculate it yourself. The reason you would want to know how to do this is if you're like me, and when I was before I was done with college, I needed to know, I needed to budget. And so I would kind of estimate how many hours I was going to work at Best Buy, my part-time job, and then I would multiply that by how much I got paid, but I knew I wasn't going to get that amount. So I would estimate and kind of figure out how much would come out for each of these deductions so I would have a more accurate representation of how much my paycheck would be. So it's a useful thing to be able to do, but it is done automatically for you. Okay, I hope you guys learned a lot about this and you're successful in your practice on the back.